Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Today is June 2nd. My name is Elizabeth Walker, producer and host of the Dear Business Coach podcast. And today we are having a live audio with Elizabeth, and this is the beginning of the producer notes series. So you can subscribe to email and stay updated on all of the freebies, coupon codes, live audio sessions like this one that you can always join for free Monday mornings at 8:30. So, oh no, it's writer's block is today's topic. And why did I choose this topic? Well, we have a couple of reasons. The first reason is because I had a coaching session. I've had two now coaching sessions with Clayton Fletcher. He was a guest on the podcast last year, and he has been a guest speaker of mine here in Roanoke, Virginia at the Jefferson Center twice now, back in April and in November of 2024. Or excuse me, October of 2024. And the workshop was comedy for executives and team leaders who speak. However, I had a private comedy coaching session, and this presented me with some tremendous writer's block. And I've had some notes about unlocking some writer's block that I thought I wanted to share with you. So we'll get to the producer's note. That producer's notes, that is going to be our second segment of this morning. And oh no, it's writer's block. We'll talk about that first. And I have my notebook here in front of me. I like to take notes as I'm talking with you because this is a fun way for me to kind of take a little pulse each time I look at my page. Think about, what are we talking about today? Why did I want to share these thoughts with you? Why is this an important way to share with you? Well, as a podcaster, I think that it's important for you to have opportunities to learn about the host of the show. Excuse me. And this is one way I can do that. So on Monday mornings, we have various topics. And the overview is live audio with Elizabeth because it is live. You can always join for free right now. This is on a Zoom meeting. However, the way the invites have been going out have been through my network on LinkedIn and if you're in the email list. So if you are getting LinkedIn invites, that is because I am sending out manual invites and I can't invite everybody. It's just, it's not really totally possible for me to actually send out invites to every single person in my LinkedIn network every week. So that's why the email subscription list is really important, and that's at dearbusinesscoachpodcast.com. So, oh no, it's writer's block. Um, I have shared with some folks through interview on podcast episodes as the host from the position as the host that I do see a therapist, a traditional therapist in an office face to face, and she's a fully licensed therapist, counselor. I use those words interchangeably. Uh, I'm sure I know they do denote different levels of education sometimes. However, sometimes you'll hear me use the word counselor or therapist. I kind of use those words interchangeably for my experience, the person that I'm speaking of, that I personally see. And I have been asked in my personal therapy sessions with her to journal, and I have not been successful with that. And then also, I've had some. I've been told by a couple of professional colleagues in advice in a situation where I might be in a conversation, they're giving me advice, or we're in some type of a coaching session not related to journaling, but other types of brainstorming. And I get this same kind of suggestion. Why don't you can journal about it. Um, and I have a real block to journaling, it turns out. So I thought this would be a good topic because to talk this out with you here, that might be helpful for somebody else who's listening and a chance to share with you. I'm struggling with my writing right now. So one of the thoughts that I had was writing versus speaking. And earlier I mentioned my comedy coaching with Clayton and how that coaching session really highlighted for me this issue that I feel like I'm having with just writing in general, feeling emotionally afraid to put something down on paper or put something down in a recording. So I do have a digital journal. And so that's one way of writing is in a digital journal. And I'm using the word digital journal, meaning it's on my phone, right? It's the journal app. And yes, I can type into it on the phone or I can type into it on my desktop. I've never actually done that. I've only accessed it as the journal feature on the app on the phone. However, I can speak into it, and that has been helpful. I have taken some personal time to put some reflective thoughts there in that way. Um, and that seems okay. But my therapist actually said it is different. Putting pencil to paper is a different way of processing thoughts. And so I listened to her. I still haven't really gotten there with putting it down on paper. And so then I had this coaching session with Clayton Fletcher about comedy, and he's nudging me. I'm telling you this here for the first time ever that you might see me on stage in New York City in a stand-up comedy club this fall. So look out for that. Fall 2025, Elizabeth Walker on the comedy stage. I told Clayton one step at a time because honestly, when he said that, I thought, this might be something that I really have wanted to do for a very, very, very long time. Don't get too excited, I told myself. So I thought, well, if that's true, if I might be doing that, if I get the guts, if I um, can manage to follow through, then I've got to figure this out. So one of the things that Clayton said to me is, we writing on paper, the way we write is different than the way we speak. So he actually encouraged me to specifically tell stories into the microphone, onto a phone app, audibly. So instead of writing on paper, he actually is tasking me with the homework of writing verbally, literally speaking to a notes app and telling a story that way. Or what I did with him a couple of times was in a Zoom meeting that's recorded, talk to him as a friend, tell him a story that is important to me or that has a lot of emotion. So I'm not giving away his coaching. I hope. However, that's enough to share for now to give you the idea of where I'm going with this idea of, oh no, it's writer's block. And what does this have to do with podcasting? Let's also talk a little bit right now about why you're invited here. Let me take a sip of coffee. Why are you invited here? Because podcasting is an important medium to me. You've heard me speak many times before about how influential podcasting is and what it can do for you in terms of practicing speaking skills, networking, these beautiful things that help us have conversations with people that build networks and help us become better at feeling presentable in our space academically, professionally, and otherwise. So these are goals of mine, and I'm interested in talking to you if that's something that you are interested in working on. So here I'd like to talk about, oh no, it's writer's block, because if you're a podcaster, maybe this is something you can relate to in terms of feeling like, well, as a podcaster or somebody who wants to be on a podcast, someone who wants to host on a podcast, or if you're someone who is interested in speaking on the podcast network as a guest, chances are you are an audio person too. You like speaking, or would like to become better at it because you enjoy listening to people who are really great speakers like me. That's why I like to host workshops and listen to fantastic speakers. So, what do you do? I'm asking you maybe as a prompt. Let's see if I maybe can forward this message to some of you folks here to see if you would like to weigh in, maybe a 1 or 2 sentence response of how you unlock your writer's block, unblock your writer's block. And do you like to use an audio format? Do you like to talk to process your thoughts and get them into paper? And then what do you do with it? So back to some of my coaching sessions, right? I've been given some advice about how to get some stories down, how to think about expressing those stories. And now that we have transcription tools for free available to us that are so easy to use, I use transcription tools for producing the podcast, the Dear Business Coach podcast, every week with show notes and articles and pulling quotes and things like that. So we can use the same tools to get our stories down on to an app verbally if that makes it easier. Okay. Also, let's think about experimenting. I'm wondering if experimenting with using paper and the audio and verbal tools is somehow helpful. So I think I'm coming around to some solutions here. Maybe you can help me out. So let me see if I can check the time. It's 8:41 a.m. Eastern time. And I do want to take a minute as well to remind you about some of the audio products that are available on the Dear Business Coach podcast website. And if you're an email subscriber, so there are lots of ways that you can pay for a couple of audio products that I have recently released that came from the live audio series this past year. So today, this is a new season, if you will, of the live audio series because I'm incorporating the producer's note segment, which will start here in a few minutes. So, oh no, it's writer's block. If you are looking to explore within your writer's block, what are some ways that you can help yourself uncover some stories? So, talking to a friend is one of the things that helps, I think. How would you tell a story to a friend? And that's why I like, of course, podcast interviews. I can get together with you and we can talk to each other one on one. One of the things I've heard people say about very, very successful, renowned podcast hosts, is that they get the interviewee, the person on the other side of the mic, so comfortable that they almost forget you're recording. And sometimes you both forget that you're recording. And sometimes that is, maybe you forget that you're vulnerable and let an emotion slip and or a story, and that it's different because you're speaking to a friend, you're telling a story to another person. All right, I have to sneeze. Oh my goodness. Okay, thank you. Now it's time to start moving into the producer's notes. Oh no, it's writer's block. I don't know if I helped anybody out there thinking about, it's okay to use an audio tool to get stories down on page. What I wanted to finish my thought there with was the idea of using free transcripting tools. Uh, One of the great things about hiring a coach or someone to get together with you and work through writer's block or writing exercises might be because you forget that it's okay to use these tools. That's one of the things that I'm playing with right now in terms of getting my comfort level figured out. I know I have to get out of my comfort level to write about things that maybe I'm not sure if I want to share publicly. That was another conversation that I had with Clayton in our comedy coaching, was that, what there are some parameters that he and I have to set around what is Elizabeth comfortable sharing. So that's something you might want to explore too, that it's okay to not share certain things, certain stories, but maybe putting these stories down into a private place that you fully intend not to share might just get the writer's juices going. Maybe there are things that I want to share that are in those stories that I can pull out certain details. Maybe I learned something about myself that, I thought I was telling a story one time about approaching a manager. I was working in a restaurant in the Poconos of Pennsylvania. I was a teenager and I was hired by the bar section to be a cocktail waitress. And there was a restaurant area right next door in this complex called the Galleria in the Poconos in Lake Harmony, Pennsylvania. And as a teenager for about a year, I worked there. And there was a guy who was the restaurant manager who worked in a restaurant space next to the bar area. He was not my boss. And one day, this guy called me over to his section, and I'd never spoken to him before, but I'd seen him interact with his employees, and I wasn't. It didn't seem like he was a very fun person to work for. But he's not my boss, so I didn't worry too much about it. This one day, he called me over and he asked me I think he asked me to carry some dishes or something. It's from his section, maybe over, say, to the hallway. Um, and I just basically said, well, I can't do that right now. I'm in the middle of setting up my station. And he was insulted and he got irritated with me. And I tried to recapture this story on stage when we had the workshop here in Roanoke at the Jefferson Center in April. And it was an okay story, I thought. Now, when I told this story, tried to turn it into a funny story. I thought it was funny because this guy, when I got up close to him, realized, he's wearing a toupee. I've never even noticed, this hairstyle before, but how does he go around talking to his employees like this with this silly hairstyle? I can clearly tell that at any minute I could just pull your hair off of your head. And no offense to anybody who wears a toupee, but you can't be mean to somebody and wear a toupee. All right. If you do wear a toupee, then you can't be mean to people. Sorry, not sorry. So I have to figure out how to share this story in a way that conveys something. What is it about this story that I'm trying to share? Is it a funny story? Or maybe I just haven't really figured out what is it emotionally about this story that I think I still connect to. And so when I shared this story on stage, I had made some notes about it, but had not written it out fully on paper. And when I got to my comedy coaching class, my comedy coaching session, I was asked to recount this story. Now, after I told this story out loud on the audio session, I realized that I wasn't sure if I really wanted to share this story again because I didn't really know how to depict the person that I was talking about. I felt judgmental. I still feel judgmental about talking about this man's toupee. So I'm still struggling with this story. If anybody listening here does wear a toupee and would like to weigh in with me about what, you would think about this story as a funny story, I want to know. So these are the kinds of things that kind of worry me, about learning storytelling, offending people or figuring out the vocabulary. And I am going to a coach for this right now. So, oh no, it's writer's block. Maybe more to be continued on this. So I hope something that I've shared here today is at least entertaining to listen to. It's a Monday morning. Part of why this is great on a Monday morning is because hopefully it's low key entertainment and something to listen to while you're opening up your screens for the day or driving to an appointment or getting yourself ready for the week, in a low stakes way to think about what you could work on. Uh, is this something that has been bothering you recently? Are you someone who is interested in sharing a story somewhere, like on a podcast interview, and you have writer's block? Maybe that's the issue. Maybe you don't know, how do I develop the story, and it could be a 2.5 minute little story. So this is what I'm working on too. And now let's get into it. The producer's notes. I'm going to take a sip of coffee. All right. I brought my laptop with me today, and I'd like to open that up and see if it helps me with anything. Producer's notes. In this segment, I want to talk a little bit about what's going on the podcast, so I can practice sharing with you what's exciting, where to find things, tools and tips. So if you've noticed, as an email subscriber, you have a coupon code. Today is June 2nd. Let me write down on my notes here. And I'm sharing with you the coupon code. Kind of need to get a checklist. The coupon code. Now, because you're listening to this recording after the fact and live during the month of June, the coupon code gives you a free recording from anything on the Buy Now page. So that coupon code's in your email. So subscribe to email so you can grab that coupon code. It's at dearbusinesscoachpodcast.com. You can also just add a /subscribe, dearbusinesscoachpodcast.com /subscribe if you want to, or just click on any of the subscribe to email links on the website. Uh-oh, my battery is going down on my computer, on my laptop. Okay, so producer's notes. So today is June 2nd, and the episode that's out today or out this week, that's when episodes drop on Wednesdays. And the latest episode, what is streaming now on top, is called From Napkins to Numbers: Why Your Business Needs Its Own Internal Consultant. And this is with Managing Director of BPMD, Liam O'Neill. And you can find Liam on LinkedIn. That's what he wants you to do, is connect with him there. So Liam is a Managing Director of BPMD, and what he talks about is consulting from the inside and looking at some ways to actually produce consultant capabilities from the inside of your organization. So you'll have to listen to the interview to let him give you the skinny and the down low on what he does. That actually also went out in email. So on Sunday, you got an email with the link to the YouTube video, and of course the audio is available on all streaming platforms. Now, Substack is our download leader this week. I released a story and a graphic that says, let's do the numbers. If you've ever heard that the NPR host on the stock market segment of the NPR show, they say, let's do the numbers. And I love that phrase. And so I wanted to take a look at some of the numbers for the Dear Business Coach podcast. Okay, it's 8:53 a.m. Eastern Time. This is a 30-minute segment. So we get together once a week, 30 minutes on Monday mornings, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. So this is live audio. So right now I'm speaking to you live. You can join this Zoom session to listen live and be here. You can also find, sometimes I release the recordings. Now, since a couple weeks ago, these Zoom recordings are not automatically released. So that is why it's fun to come to the live session to talk and listen. And then we have the producer's notes. So I have been wanting to do this for a long time. Why are producer's notes fun? Well, this is where we can remind ourselves where to find, again, freebies and coupons. So we told you about the June coupon. And then the magazine, the Dear Business Coach Podcast magazine, actually is a new issue out as of last week. So each quarter there are 2 issues. So that's about 5 to 6 interviews per issue. If you're an email subscriber, you go right to your email and you can actually link right to the magazine. And that is free, cover to cover, for you to read the interview articles and check out some of the artwork. So that actually leads me to my next checklist here. Producer's notes, we need to talk about artwork. Thank you for reminding me of that. Producer's notes, so artwork. All right, so a couple of magazine issues ago, the first original artist was featured, and you can actually see that in the magazine issues are still available. Past issues are available. If you would like access to the past magazine issues, if there's a certain one, you can always email me. Now, being an email subscriber also means replying to those emails that you get is the fastest way to get access to your free stuff. So if you'll notice in the emails each week, there's a note in there that says reply to this email with the word download, for example, if you want your own actual download copy of the magazine. It's free to you as a subscriber. You can pay for the magazine issue. The current and past magazine issues are going to be made available soon. The current magazine issue that's available for sale is still up. That's still the last magazine issue if you haven't gotten gotten one there yet. That's published through Maxim. I'm sorry, Mixim. I have had this conversation before. Do you think they did that on purpose? Probably. Okay, not Maxim, Mixim. They have print to order, is that the phrase to use? So you can buy the Dear Business Coach podcast magazine. Honestly, that doesn't do a whole lot for me as far as profit. It's cool to get the magazine and I make it available. However, if you're an email subscriber, you can look at it digitally cover to cover for free. The audio recordings, though, are important. Those are actually new as far as products available. We have interviewing for introverts, and we have podcasting for executives and team leaders who speak. So if you go to dearbusinesscoachpodcast.com/buy now, then you can actually take a look at those products. And as an email subscriber, you have a freebie coupon to get one of those audio recordings for free. They're $14.95 a piece for the interviewing for introverts and the podcasting for executives and team leaders who speak. So those are segments that were from the live audio with Elizabeth sessions earlier this year and last year. If you want to, you can go to my LinkedIn page and actually browse through all of the past events that used to be on LinkedIn, and you can listen to them through your browser, through your LinkedIn app there. However, I've made 2 specific recordings available for you to purchase and have for your own download. Okay, and so that is available to you also on the buy now page, or if you're an email subscriber, you can actually get one of those for $0. Okay, so those are the producer's notes so far. I actually want to make sure I round out the conversation with the artist's submission, right? This was a big part of my producer's notes today for the Dear Business Coach podcast, was to remember to tell you about artist submissions. If you have original photography or imagery that you would like to feature in the Dear Business Coach podcast magazine, then you definitely want to get in touch with me. You can email me at dearbusinesscoachpodcast.com. Excuse me, yes. You can go to dearbusinesscoachpodcast.com and email me through the website. The what the other ways to get in touch with me are to reply to the subscriber email. So if you're already a subscriber, even better, right? Subscribe to email and then go ahead and submit your artwork. Just reply to one of those emails, and then you can actually talk to me directly. So that email address is elizabeth@dearbusinesscoachpodcast.com and dearbusinesscoachpodcast@gmail.com. So those are the ways you can find me. It's 9 a.m. Eastern time. I am looking for original photography and artwork. If you would like to have your original artwork or photography featured in the Dear Business Coach Podcast magazine. All right, guys. So my name is Elizabeth Walker. Guys and gals, women, gentlemen, guys and gals. My name is Elizabeth Walker, producer and host of the Dear Business Coach podcast. And this has been a live audio with Elizabeth session. You know what? I'm so happy to have you here, and I love doing these live audios on Mondays. So I'll see you next time, and you are a superstar.